If you've been watching the news at all and seeing any of this, there was a big summit in Seoul, and all of the major AI players got together and said, we need to have a kill switch for our big AI projects. There needs to be a giant red button that if things go south, we can just clunk and hit it and kill this thing. Which, whenever I see headlines like this, I always like to dig beneath the surface and go, what is actually being said underneath all of this? Because there's more to the story than this. And if you hear this and go, oh, whew, I can take a breath now because Christopher said there's safety frameworks, there's all these things. Hopefully, I've highlighted the risks that we still have with that. And the kill switch. You go, great, there's a kill switch. We've at least created an outlet that we can just unplug if it all hits the fan, right? Isn't this wonderful? Let's talk about where this is a good thing and why I'm encouraged by it. And then we'll get to why I still have concerns around this and why I think we have a long ways to go before I will feel comfortable with where we are with this. So, the positive. Let's focus on the positive. It is pretty incredible to have a large number, all of the major AI players get together on a global level and agree on something. I mean, I feel like we can't get anybody to agree on anything. So, getting people from all over the world, like I said before, from privately held companies who are technically all in competition with each other to come together and go, for the benefit of humanity, can we all at least agree we need a kill switch? I think that's good. I find it encouraging that there is some degree of unity behind the fact we recognize we're dealing with some really, really dangerous stuff and we need to put mitigation strategies in place, ultimately, potentially leading to a kill switch. And that's about where my encouragement ends in terms of like, yeah, I feel good about that. It's a step in the right direction. Whereas I reflected further on this, I again had some concerns that I think we just, as we're all watching and following this space, need to be asking, need to be pushing for, need to be, driving in conversations is, let's first examine the fact that every leading AI company in the world got together and said, we all acknowledge that what we've built has the potential to do extreme harm to all of humanity. So much so that we should have a kill switch for it. Even though we aren't one united group, can we just all across the board agree this thing is so dangerous, we all need to build in an emergency switch? I think that speaks to anyone out there who goes, I really don't see how Chat GPT is really going to change the world or be that big of a threat. We're not talking about Chat GPT. We're talking about the power of these models and what they can do. And so anybody who doesn't think this is something that should be taken seriously or something that is really going to dramatically, I was on a show the other day saying, this will be bigger than electricity. This will be bigger than the internet. This will be bigger than anything we've ever seen. And if you aren't at the point where you're going, this is big, and I should be at least paying attention and keeping a very close eye on how all this stuff is moving. Hopefully, a bunch of privately held companies with competing priorities coming together and going, what we've created is so dangerous, we better put an emergency kill switch. Let's acknowledge the severity and the magnitude of what that is. So I think that we need to be mindful of. The other part that was discouraging that I'd like to see more progress on is when you actually scratch beneath the surface of, when you say kill switch, what do you mean kill switch? Because that can sound on the surface like kill switch, we trash the whole thing. This thing is too volatile. We're going to throw it in the dumpster, never to be seen again. That is not what we mean. That is not what they're talking about when they say kill switch. So again, before you just try and rest easy and go, oh, no big deal, they're going to kill it. If, we'll just unplug the machine if it gets out of hand. That's actually not even what they're committing to. What they're committing to is, well, if it gets that dangerous, we just won't continue development of it, which to me raises the question, yeah, but what are you going to do with the thing that you've already determined is so dangerous? It has the potential to cause severe harm to humanity. You're just going to not make it worse. Like, it's already there. What do you do with it? It's kind of like nuclear waste. Like, how do you actually dispose of this stuff once it's been created? And I don't think we have a good answer for that. And I'm not surprised that we don't see unity, that everybody goes, hey, if we get to this point, can we just all collectively agree we'll hit the delete button and erase all our files? We're just not going to see that. But I think we need to see more. And I think we should be pushing more to say, how are we actually going to shut this down? And what are our mitigation strategies? It has to be more than, well, we just won't make it worse. That to me is unacceptable. And I think societally, we should say that is an unacceptable answer to that question. I think this brings up a lot of the other concerns I have of, well, but who's measuring this? It's one thing to get a group of people together and say, yeah, we all agree. We promise, hand on my heart, that I'll stop developing this if it reaches critical mass, air quotes. But critical mass is very ethereal, very like whatever, and stop development. It leaves the question, who is going to be assessing and determining these things? And there's been a whole bunch of news coming out from people who work internally that go, we should not be the ones self-assessing. We are not in a position to self-assess on this. We will not catch this stuff. We are fully incentivized to do everything in our power to not stop development, to not stop progress. It cannot be us that goes, no, we promise we'll stop if we go too far. There needs to be something external, and I think everyone needs to be pushing for that. Now, that said, this is where I think we need to be really careful, because if you watched the TikTok investigations or the Facebook investigations by the government, I think we should all universally agree that we've got to do better than we have in the past. I can honestly say I would end up siding with the big tech companies if it was like, well, let's let our legislators be the ones that govern it. People who don't understand how a router in their house does not work should not be the ones objectively analyzing whether the AI models that have been created can cause undue harm to humanity. It's just, we need an objective group of people that have a moral compass, that have enough going on that they can objectively look at this and actually make a determination and have the technical know-how to make a decision and a recommendation. But they also have to have the accountability and authority to make that call and have the companies actually do something with it. So that's why I say this kill switch. I'm encouraged that, again, like many of the other safety measures, we're making steps in the right direction, but we are not there yet. And hang on one. All right. Well, I've not actually had to use this feature in my recording thing where it actually pauses things and lets me do that. So I guess that's the joy of having so many kids that don't understand I'm in the middle of something right now. So sorry for the interruption. Hopefully it feels seamless. But anyway, all this to say, I think we've got a long ways to go. And I will be following this closely. The overall safety to society and to humanity is a huge concern that I have. I, in very many ways, feel like we've got a bit of an out of control train on the tracks right now that I'm encouraged to see we're taking some aggressive steps to do something. I think there's a lot more that can be done.